say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
The national anthem you just watched was Amber Short. She was the winner of our Star-Spangled Sing-Off. Congratulations to her, but the reason we are beginning with the national anthem is because America, the United States, has qualified for the round of 32 at this home turf World Cup with a 2-0 victory over Australia earlier today. I could not be more jacked up, but I'm going to go through this chronologically because I enjoyed watching it in between all the duties I have to do here at WDBJ7. You're watching the Hometown Sports Huddle on WDBJ7 Plus, by the way, in case you were uncertain of what you've tuned into. I could understand that. The national anthem and a dude saluting when you don't know what you're watching, that's pretty confusing. But again, the United States wins 2-0. They have made it through to the round of 32. A draw or a win by Paraguay tonight against Turkey would mean that the United States wins its World Cup group for the first time ever. But I'll get back to that. Let's start about 90 minutes before the match. That is when news broke via the United States manager Mauricio Pochettino that perhaps America's best player, Christian Pulisic, that he would not play. He picked up a calf injury against Paraguay in the first match. He only played one half of that match. Now, they were up 3-0 at halftime, and so it didn't really matter that they could only have him for one half, and it was good that they were able to rest him. He trained on the side, separate from the rest of the team, all during the week. It was a major, major concern that Captain America, he is the captain of the team, wasn't going to play, and he didn't play. And so Mauricio Pochettino tells the media 90 minutes before the game that he is out. 75 minutes, so 15 minutes later, 75 minutes when the starting lineups come out prior to the game, we learned that Ricardo Pepi is going to be in the spot for Christian Pulisic. That is interesting because Christian Pulisic is an attacking midfielder. Ricardo Pepi is a striker. We're already playing Folarin Balogun, who scored 2 goals in that romp over Paraguay last Friday night. So we're starting 2 strikers. So Mauricio Pochettino, without Christian Pulisic, has decided he is going to change his formation. That is pretty impressive. We have seen U.S. managers in the past decide they're not going to change the way they play just because somebody's out. So you would see another attacking midfielder, maybe a Tim Weah, go in instead of Christian Pulisic. Now, I'm not sure which side, who's playing where, but the point is having 2 attacking strikers out there was an interesting decision for Pochettino. Clearly, he thought that they could get at the Australians with 2 attackers and that they didn't need another setup man. They just needed somebody who could score goals. And you know what? 11 minutes in, that's exactly what they got. In the 11th minute, it looked eerily similar to what happened for the United States against Paraguay. Against Paraguay last Friday night, it was Pulisic splitting 2 defenders, crossing the ball to the center. It banked it off a Paraguayan defender's leg into the net for an own goal. It's 1-0 United States. That was Paraguay. Today, it was a ball up the left side to Folarin Balogun. Balogun beats his defender on the side. He crosses it into the middle, and it's Cameron Burgess with the own goal to give the United States a 1-0 lead. Again, that was forced by Balogun, and the guy he was trying to cross to was Ricardo Pepi. And so you're seeing that partnership, two strikers. Is it going to work? Do we need another midfield creator, or do we just need somebody to get on the end of a ball to score? Turns out it's going to work just fine, because having Balogun with the speed that he has and the accuracy that he has, and then Pepi with his finishing ability, which we have seen in various European leagues as well as at FC Dallas throughout the years, it worked, and it worked for the United States to get that 11th minute goal, and that is exactly what the United States needed. They did not want Australia to muck this game up, to make it defensively difficult for the United States to get through them. They didn't, when they played a friendly back in the fall, they were physical, and I mean, they were fouling guys left and right, and that's actually a situation in which Pulisic got hurt, and it really messed up his European season with his club team AC Milan. We were hoping that Pulisic would be completely healthy coming to this World Cup. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. That calf injury was an issue, and it was a concern that he would be battered again today against Australia. So he was held out, probably for precautionary reasons, and probably because he knew that Australia would be gunning for him. But Fuller and Balogun solves that problem. He plays the Pulisic role. He banks it off of Cameron Burgess, and it's 1-0 the United States. Ricardo Pepi right there next to the guy who actually scored the goal on his own net. Then we move through to the 43rd minute. The United States had various chances, but in the 43rd minute, they struck again. It was off of a free kick. Anthony Robinson crosses the ball just outside the box to Serginho Dest. Serginho Dest with a cannon shot. It bounces off a head, a chest, a defender, a leg. It pops up in the air. The Australian keeper goes for it and doesn't get there, but you know who does? 21-year-old Alex Freeman. Alex Freeman is the youngest player on the entire U.S. roster. And fun fact for the folks that are here in the Blacksburg, Roanoke area, he is the son of Virginia Tech Hokie Hall of Famer Antonio Freeman. Antonio Freeman played for the Hokies from 1990 to 1994. He's a great NFL veteran. He played with Brett Favre a lot of years. He had one of the most famous plays in Monday Night Football history. It was in overtime against the Minnesota Vikings. Favre throws the ball up. It somehow Freeman falls down, but somehow still makes a catch. The Minnesota defensive back doesn't realize he's made the catch. Antonio Freeman gets up and scores the game-winning touchdown, because back then it was sudden death, and Green Bay wins. That's Antonio Freeman. Well, guess what? Alex Freeman is his son, and he was starting today as a defender, and he was the one that collects that miss and heads the ball into the back of the net. But it wasn't that easy. It wasn't as simple as, oh, look, he scored on a header, because the play was initially whistled for offside. You see, if you're not familiar with soccer and the rules, if there are not two men between you and the goal when the ball is initially hit, then you're offside. So if it's just you and the goalie and then the goal, you're offside. There's got to be someone else between you and the goalie and the goal. And it looked initially as if when Serginho Dest hit his cannon, that it was going to be offside. In fact, it was called that way. Well, we have a review, video assistant referee, VAR, as it's known in football, soccer, football, depending on where you're from. And the VAR review determined that there was an Australian player whose leg was beyond where Alex Freeman was. So that goal stands. So you have this crazy delayed celebration. You have the ball go in the back of the net. You have Alex Freeman celebrate. He's thrilled. And then immediately you see flags up. That's the symbol for offside. And so, oh no, okay. You even saw reactions from American fans waving their scarves. Oh, I'm crushed. We didn't score. And then, about 3 to 5 minutes later, you have the referee make an announcement. He was not in an offside position. Goal United States. And they go nuts up there in Seattle at Lumen Field. Or I think it's called Seattle Stadium, because FIFA does not recognize any sponsorships that it does not actually have that have money coming to it. Thank you very much, FIFA. It's Lumen Field in Seattle, by the way. Anyway, not only in Lumen Field in Seattle, but we saw watch parties in Kansas City. We saw watch parties in Los Angeles. All over the place. They're celebrating like crazy because Alex Freeman has put the United States up 2-0. There was no scoring in the second half. The game finished 2-0, and that is enough to put the United States through to the knockout round. And it's just incredible. As someone who's been watching American soccer in the World Cup most of my life, I can remember the 2002 World Cup, and that is when the United States, that's the best World Cup the U.S. has ever had. And in that year, that was in Korea and Japan. Those were the two co-hosts. And the United States had an incredible opening game. They beat Portugal, who was one of the favorites to win the World Cup. They beat them 3-2. And that was, for me, I think it was like 2 in the morning. I stayed at a friend's house. We woke up, we watched the game. I think we went back to sleep, and then we went to school the next day. And that would have been my sophomore year of high school. And that was incredible. But, there weren't the watch parties. There weren't, soccer wasn't as big at the time. And so it wasn't this exciting. Seeing this World Cup that's hosted here in the United States, seeing all the watch parties, seeing how many people are into this team, and then, crucially, seeing this team perform in the 4-1 win against Paraguay, which might have been the best match that the United States has ever played in any World Cup, except for maybe that Portugal game in 2002, and then watching them beat Australia 2-0. It's like all of these casual fans that are kind of like, well, what's this World Cup thing? What's going on there? Should I check it out? Is it going to be fun? Well, they've had nothing but fun. They've watched a 4-1 win. They have watched a 2-0 win. They know this team is going to be playing in the knockout round, and they know that game is going to be in home soil sometime in July. It's just an incredible moment for U.S. soccer. But, 2002 was a watershed moment. They didn't win the group that year. They lost they drew with South Korea, and they lost to Poland. And so it was very much on the table that they would not make it through to the next round. Well, they did. They were able to beat Mexico in the first knockout round, and then they had a game stolen from them against Germany, which still makes me mad. There's a guy, if you're not familiar with this, there's a guy on the line. The ball was headed. Defender for Germany has his arms out like this in a very unnatural position. The ball hits his hand directly. If it doesn't hit his hand, it's going in the back of the net. Guess what? No goal. Oh, well, you know what? He didn't mean to touch it. The rules have changed. That would absolutely have been at least a penalty shot, if not an awarded goal. So anyway, I've not seen the United States have this much success in soccer since I was 14 years old. I'm going to be 40 at the end of this year. Think about that. It's been 26 years. Well, 24 years, I'm sorry. My math is really off. I was 16? Yeah. 15. You get the point. It's been 24 years since the United States has had this much success in soccer, and it is incredible to see. And of course, we're not done. If you're watching the Paraguay and Turkey game tonight, that is going to be at midnight Eastern, at 11 p.m. Eastern. So if you're on the East Coast and you're not staying up for that, I understand. But let me reiterate, if Paraguay wins or draws against Turkey, that means the United States will win its group. The United States has never qualified for the knockout round with one game to spare, as they have already done, and they have never won a group in the World Cup stage. Because again, even in 2002, the best year they've ever had in a World Cup, they still had to depend on South Korea beating Portugal in the final group stage match in order to get them to finish second in the group to advance. And so with this, they are already through. They're guaranteed at least second place, depending on what happens in tonight's match with Paraguay and Turkey, and depending on what happens in the final group stage match where the United States will play Turkey in Los Angeles. Now, if they win the group, so if Paraguay wins or draws tonight, they will win the group, and that'll, again, be the first time they've ever done that. Speaking of which, Turkey and the United States, they will play in the final group stage match. That will be next Thursday, and that will be at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. The game time, I'm not 100% certain on. I do think it's 10 o'clock. It's another late one. It's one of those West Coast games. Now, if the United States does win its group, again, they need a win or a draw against Paraguay, or they need to beat Turkey in the final group stage match. If they do win, their next match will be July 1st at 8 p.m. It'll be versus a third-place team, and it'll be, again, in California. It'll be in Santa Clara, where the 49ers play, which is Levi's Stadium, but is, for the purposes of FIFA, the Bay Area Soccer Stadium, which no one has ever called it in its life. So just really excited. It's just me solo here. Forgot to hit mute, or unmute rather, at the end of the national anthem. Sorry about that. I hope that you can feel the excitement that I feel for this American team. I hope that you can feel the excitement on your own. I don't want it to just be coming from me. I love this groundswell that we are having of support for this American team just when this American team needs it the most, and just when this American team is really making it worth your while if you are a casual soccer fan. We had Caleb Meyer on yesterday. He is the president of the American Outlaws, the Roanoke chapter. They had a watch party over at Village Grill today. I imagine that place was going crazy over in Grandin Village, because all those folks, they are the diehards. They are the ultras. They are the folks that are going to be there for a friendly against Hungary at 3 p.m. on a Sunday in October. And so for them to get a chance to see their team and to have everybody else jump on the bandwagon, that's what this is all about, a home country World Cup where your team might be having its best generation of soccer players ever, you want everybody jumping on the bandwagon. You know, the 94 World Cup had a lot of parents decide to get their kids involved in soccer. It got a lot of us interested in soccer, and the interest in soccer ended up breeding an entire generation of better soccer players. This World Cup, because at that World Cup, the United States did advance out of the group, and they lost to Brazil in the knockout round. At this World Cup, they have a chance to advance and potentially advance again and potentially reach match what the 2002 team did as far as the best World Cup finish ever. And if that happens in front of a country that is already more into soccer than it was in 1994, then that means that you're just going to have continuous generations of American soccer players that are feeding off of all of this energy. And eventually, God willing, the United States is going to win a World Cup. I am not saying it's going to be this one. What I'm saying is the positive momentum on back from 94 to 2002, now to 2026, that's the sort of thing that makes a country that doesn't care about soccer become a soccer country and eventually, potentially, become a World Cup winning nation. And no World Cup winner has ever come from anywhere except for Europe or South America, and it would be incredible to have a North American team, that's where we are, win the World Cup. The other team that's already qualified for the next round, or already won its group, as a matter of fact, interestingly enough, our neighbors to the south, Mexico. They defeated South Korea last night, and that means they won their group, so they are already through as well, and they will play a knockout round match on June 30th. And you know Mexico is going crazy, but they already loved soccer. We have never loved soccer in this country the way that Mexico has loved soccer. And it would be great if we did. It would be great if at the 2030 World Cup, at the 2034 World Cup, that we had one of the favorites. I would love to see that. And I do think that today is a historic day in the history of American soccer. And I do think that we are in for more success in the future. So keep your eyes on that Paraguay and Turkey match. Keep your eyes on us on WDBJ7. We will be showing you highlights tonight. And keep your eyes on here on the Huddle on WDBJ7 Plus. And we will keep talking about soccer because this World Cup, it only comes around 4 years. Who knows the next time it's going to be the United States? We've got to take advantage of it. And if you're already a soccer fan, you know what? Just lean back, put your hands behind your head, enjoy the 1,000 megawatt sunlight that is winning on your home soil, advancing to the knockout stage, and having nothing but optimism for the future. I want to thank you all for tuning in today for the Hometown Sports Huddle here on WDBJ7 Plus. I'm Mitch Carr, and that's going to do it for us. Thank you very much for watching.